and then we can have a session. Now, chapter 3 from Flamingo Deep Water. I'll share the screen. If the screen is not visible, you please inform me. Otherwise, yes, now the screen is on and we will start the chapter. Deep Water by William Douglas. This is a very interesting story. It's written in a narrative form, in autobiographical form. So you can just listen to it. William Douglas. William Douglas was born in Maine, Minnesota, after graduating with a Bachelor's of Arts in English and Economics. He spent 2 years teaching high school in Yakima. However, he got tired of this and decided to pursue a legal career. He met Franklin D. Roosevelt at Yale and became an advisor and friend to the president. Douglas was a leading advocate of individual rights. He retired in 1975 with a term lasting 36 years and remains the longest serving justice in the history of the court. The following excerpt is taken from Of Men and Mountains by William O. Douglas. It reveals how, as a young boy, William Douglas nearly drowned in a swimming pool. In this essay, he talks about his fear of water and, therefore, how to finally overcome it. Notice how the autobiographical part of the selection is used to support his discussion of fear. So we will just read the story, how he had faced fear and how he had overcome fear. The story starts like this. It happened when I was 10 or 11 years old. I had decided to learn to swim. There was a pool at the YMCA in Yakima that offered exactly the opportunity. The Yakima River was treacherous. Mother continually warned against it and kept afresh in my mind the details of which drowning in the river. But the YMCA pool was safe. It was only 2 or 3 feet deep at the shallow end, and while it was 9 feet deep at the other, the drop was gradual. I got to a pair of wings and went to pool. I hated to walk naked into it and show my skinny legs, but I subdued my pride and did it. Now what does he say? He was around 10 years old. Now you see it's written in an autobiographical manner, means in a narrative form. So he uses past tense because action had taken quite long back. Now he says that he was around 10 or 11 years old. He was sent to YMCA pool in Yakima and that offered exactly the opportunity. Now, why should you go to a swimming pool to practice? Because we people who are in city do not know the techniques. We need proper training. So we believe in proper training. The Yakima River was treacherous. Now, if you see in villages, people just jump into the ponds, and children, maybe at the age of 4 or 5 or 7, you can find them so adventurous. They do not have fear at all. They jump in, they struggle, and of course, there are incidents where they even drown. But they know the depth, how they'll do, and there will be some elders also to help, and those children learn. But here he says that the Yakima River was treacherous, means was frightful. It was not safe to learn swimming. So mother continually warned against it and kept fresh in my mind the details of each drowning in the river. So every time, mother is always concerned about the child. So she used to warn him not to go to the river, and every time she used to update him that this incident had happened, that child has drowned, this has happened. So maybe keeping that in mind, this child was also feeling that YMCA pool was safe. It was a YMCA pool means it's an artificially built pool where proper swimming training is given. It was only 2 or 3 feet deep at the shallow end, and while it was 9 feet deep at the other, the drop was gradual. I got a pair. Now, drop was gradual, and he says, I got a pair of water wings and went to the pool. Now, if you have ever had an experience of going to a swimming pool and practicing, it's you can see that the swimming pool is constructed in such a way that the small children can easily swim. So the moment small children go, you can find that they are having the tall rubber balloon, just like the balloons floating on the water. You have the rubber ring, and children put their head and the shoulder, and the hands are on the this one, so that they are able to swim. They do not drown. So there are kits for your safety. So here he says that 2 or 3 feet deep at the shallow end on the sides, and then the 9 feet deep. Normal human beings height is 6 feet. So it was just 3 feet deeper, 9 feet deep, and the drop was gradual. Drop was gradual means normally when you see the swimming trainer who is giving training to the small kids, he holds them flat on his 2 hands, and then he asks them to beat his hands and legs, and slowly he drops them so that they are able to feel comfortable and they start doing it. So techniques are taught. I got a pair of water wings. Now, water wings is the equipment that small children, when they are entering into the swimming pool, they have, and went to the pool. I hated to walk naked into it and show my skinny legs, but I subdued my pride and did it. Normally, this is something very usual. It happens like when you have to enter the swimming pool, you have to wear the swimming suit. You cannot wear your like long suits and churidars and skirts and saris and then enter into the waters. It will just pull you down, and you will not know how you get caught, and you will be drowned. So normally in the swimming pools, it's a very strict rule that only you have to enter with your swimming suit, whether it's a girl or boy, only with your swimming suit. So he says that he was feeling a bit naked, means maybe only shorts he has to wear, and he was feeling uneasy to show his skinny legs, but still he went. From the beginning, however, I had an aversion to the water. What is this aversion? He did not like water, or he hated water. He wanted to be away from it when I was in it. This started when I was 3 or 4 years old, and father took me to the beach in California. So why did he have an aversion? Because when he was a small child, maybe 3 or 4 years old, and he had gone along with his father to the beach in California, he and I stood together in the surf. So both of them were standing on the surf, and I hung on to him, yet the waves knocked me down and swept me over. So you know that whenever the waves come, they are quite furious sometimes. They hit and they go back. So if you are not standing properly, or if you are not able to withstand it, normally you will be swept. So he says that the waves swept him and he fell down. He was knocked down. The waves knocked him down, means fell down. I was buried in water. My breath was gone. My God, buried in water totally was. And he was so frightened. It's a small child. So frightened. Father laughed, but there was terror in my heart at the overpowering force of the waves. Now you see, terror. The word used here is terror. 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 He says, father was laughing, but I was so frightened that the terror in my heart at the overpowering force of the waves. He got terribly scared. So this was the first incident when he was knocked down by the waves. Now here you can see the Yakima, a small picture. Now next, my introduction to the YMCA swimming pool revived unpleasant memories and stirred childish fears. But in a little while I gathered confidence, I paddled with my new water wings, watching the other boys and trying to learn by aping them. I did this 2 or 3 times on different days and was just beginning to feel at ease in the water when the misadventure happened. What does he say? My introduction to the YMCA pool. You can see the picture of the pool. Normally, the pool is constructed in such a way that you have the side borders. It's safe. You can sit on that, and then slowly you can wet your feet, and then slowly you can drop in. And here he says that the swimming pool revived unpleasant memories. Now he's saying it brought unpleasant memories. What is this unpleasant memories and childish fears? It gathered, but still he gathered confidence. So normally we also have the same thing. Okay, once we have got less marks, okay, no problem. Let us try again. Let us do hard work. Like that, we start doing it. I did. So same way he also gathered confidence and I paddled with my new water wings. Now you know paddle with water wings. With the legs also they have like the web feet, you have those rubber where you can just push the water. So watching the other boys and trying to learn them aping. So what do you do normally? You always do this work. What is that? You you look at. Ape means copy. You observe your elders doing something, then children try to copy the same thing and then they learn. That is a very common or very easy way of learning or natural learning, by aping them. So the other boys were doing, so he also tried to do the same thing. So I did this 2 or 3 times on different days and was just beginning to feel at ease. Now he says that he was beginning to feel at ease, means feeling comfortable. And he says in this, when the misadventure happened. So what is the misadventure that he is talking about? Let us see. When I went to the pool when no one else was there. The place was quiet, the water was still, and the tiled bottom was as white and clean as a bathtub. You find the description of the water pool. See, he says that there was nobody in the swimming pool and the place was totally quiet. He could see the tiled bottom. If you go to the swimming pool, artificial swimming pool, you can see the bottom is all tiled and the tiles you can see. That means the water is very clear. And he says it was as clean as a bathtub. I was timid about going in alone. So now he thought that, okay, nobody's there, let me go alone. He had confidence and he wanted to enter. So I sat on the side of the pool to wait for others. So he was sitting there waiting there in the pool. I mean, you can see that there's some border, brown color border. Maybe he was sitting on that. I had not been there long when in came a big bruiser of a boy, probably 18 years old. He had thick hair on his chest. He was a beautiful physical specimen with legs and arms that showed rippling muscles. Look at the way he's describing the boy who came. 18-year-old boy with a beautiful physique. And he's saying he was a real specimen. His legs and arms were showing rippling muscles. I think most of the boys are very crazy about having six packs and building up their muscles. Now you see he had rippling muscles. He yelled, he just shouted, "He is skinny. How did you like to be ducked?" As he asked this question, he picked me up and tossed me into the deep end. Immediately, as he was asking, with that itself, he was pushed, or he ducked him. He lifted and he pushed him, tossed him into the deep end. I landed in a sitting position, swallowed water. See, when you are not prepared to go into the water, what do? You have your normal breathing. But when you have to enter the pool, you should stop breathing. You should hold your breath, go inside. Again, when you come out, you have to inhale. So this process is there when you are conscious that you are going into the water. If you are not conscious that you are going into the water, then you inhale normally and then you inhale the water also. You drink, you swallow the water. So I landed in a sitting position, swallowed water, and went at once to the bottom. I was frightened, but not yet frightened out of my wits. So I was totally frightened. On the way down, I planned when my feet hit the bottom, I would make a big jump, come to the surface, lie flat on it, and paddle to the edge of the pool. So this is what was thinking. He was thinking, oh, no problem anyway. See, he was frightened, but still he thought, no, no problem. I can just come out. I can bounce up, have a big jump to the bottom, and then again I can lie flat and I can paddle. So it's not a problem. He built up his confidence, he thought, and then it seemed a long way down. Those 9 feet were more than 90, and before I touched bottom, my legs were ready to burst. But when my feet hit bottom, I summoned all my strength and made what I thought was a great spring upwards. I imagined I would bob to the surface like a cork. Instead, I came up slowly. I opened my eyes and saw nothing but water, water that had a dirty yellow tinge to it. I grew panically. I reached up as if to grab a rope, and my hands clutched only at water. I was suffocating. I tried to yell, but no sound came out. Then my eyes and my nose came out of water, but not my mouth. Now you see that he describes in this paragraph how he went down. Now you're all science students, you must be knowing the principle. So he says that he wanted to touch the bottom, hit the bottom, so that once you hit, you can come up with the same force on the surface. This even I had also tried when I had gone to the pool. It's so nice when the more pressure you give down, you hit the bottom, your body gets automatically lifted. But again, there is some physics formula where you have to adapt, where what is the pressure that you are doing, what is the water size or what it's all scientific principles that did not get into my mind, but I enjoyed hitting the bottom. So same way he hit the bottom. So this is a very common sense, hitting the bottom. But he says that he was not able to come like a cock. I imagined I would bob to the surface like a cock, but he was not able to do. And even if he came, only his eyes and his nose came, but his mouth did not come. So when his mouth comes only, you can maybe freely he can breathe. But it was not so. He was suffocating. And now he couldn't grab a rope or nothing he could catch. Whenever he tried to catch something, it was only the water that he was trying to hold. I failed at the surface of the water, swallowed and choked. I tried to bring my legs up, but then hung as dead weights, paralyzed and rigid. A great force was pulling me under. I screamed, but only the water heard me. I had started on the long journey back to the bottom of the pool. Now, first time he tried, he was not able to be successful. He couldn't come up completely and lie down flat and then paddle up. No, it was not possible. Now, he tried. I tried to bring my legs up. Now he wanted to push his legs up. No, it was not possible. He says that he felt as though he was paralyzed. Paralyzed means the is not having control over his legs. He says that there was a great force that was pulling him down. Now, why this happens? Only science students will be knowing why this pulling, the great force was pulling down. He screamed. He's saying he tried to scream. But who will hear when he is screaming in the water? Only the water heard me. I had started on the long journey to the bottom of the pool, not up to the above the waters, but below the waters. I struck at the water and bent down, expending my strength as one in nightmare, flights as irresistible force. I had lost all my breath, my lungs ached, my head throbbed, I was getting dizzy, but I remembered the strategy. I would spring from the bottom of the pool and come like a cork to the surface. I would lie flat on the water, strike out with my arms, and thrash with my legs. Then I would get to the edge of the pool and be safe. Now you see, he did not give up hope. He again remembered the same strategy by going to the bottom. Though he went to the bottom, he would touch with his legs and then he'll thrash and then again he will come to the edge of the pool and then he will be safe. This is his again, without losing confidence, he thought and he wanted to do it. I went down endlessly. I opened my eyes. Nothing but water with a yellow glow, dark water that one could not see. So second time also he was not able to come up. He could see only water. And then stark terror seized me. Now terror is the next stage of fear or fright. Fear. When you get frightened, it becomes more intense. Terror. See how many times he uses the word terror seized me. Terror that knows no understanding. Terror that knows no control. Terror that no one can understand. Who has not experienced it? This is who has not experienced terror. Everybody must have experienced terror once or the other. I was shrieking underwater. I was paralyzed underwater, stiff, rigid with fear. Even the screams in my throat were frozen. Only my heart and the pounding in my head said that I was still alive. So he's saying that he was totally paralyzed. His legs, hands were not working, not listening to his command. He was not able to have control over them. So only he was screaming. It was totally frozen. He was not able to scream also. So totally he was paralyzed. He only thought that he was thinking and he felt that that is the only thing that he was feeling or realized that he was still alive. And in the midst of that terror came a touch of reason. I must remember to jump when I hit the bottom. At last I felt the tiles under me. So as I told you that once you touch, you hit the bottom. How much you hit, you come up. I do not know whether it is a 1/3 or 1/4 or how much, but when you hit, you are pushed upwards. So he also tried to push upwards. At last I felt the tiles under me. Now he was able to touch. My toes reached out as to grab them. I jumped with everything I had. So the thought is going. His mind is very active. thought is going. I jumped with everything. Now he had confidence. He wanted to do it. But the jump made no difference. He says the jump made no difference. The water was still around me. I looked for ropes, ladders, water wings, nothing but water. A mass of yellow water held me. So he was not able to hold. See, especially when you are drowning, if you are not able to hold something, hold on something, there is some possibility that you can lift yourself up. But he says nothing was there except water. A mass of yellow water held me. He's saying the water was looking yellow. Stark terror took an even deeper hold on me. I felt a great charge of electricity. I shook and trembled with fright. I shook means he was so terrified now. He thought that's lot. It was like my arms wouldn't move. My legs wouldn't move. I tried to call. This third time he is trying to come up, and third time also he failed. He sank down. And he tried to call for mother, but nothing happened. So third time also he sank down. And then strangely there was light. I was coming out of the awful yellow water. As my At least my eyes were, my nose were almost out too. So he was able to see the light coming through his eyes. Then I started drowned a third time. I sucked for air and got water. The yellowish light was going out. So now even his eyesight is going out, means maybe he was becoming, his consciousness also was going off, he says. Then all effort ceased. I relaxed. Now, what happens? Most of the time, you keep struggling, and a point comes where you have to leave hope and you have to relax. Oh my God, that's all over. I cannot do anymore. Even my legs felt limp, and a blackness swept over my brain. Means now he is not able to think. Also, his brain also has stopped functioning. It wiped out fear. Now no more fear after a certain period. So if you're scared for something, once you reach that peak of this fear also goes away. It wiped out fear. It wiped out terror. There was no more panic. No panic. It was quiet and peaceful. Nothing to be afraid of. This is nice to be drowsy. Go to sleep. No need to jump. Too tired to jump. It's nice to be carried gently, to float along in space. Tender arms around me, tender arms like mother's. Now I must go to sleep. So now he lost his consciousness also. Then I crossed to oblivion and the curtain of life fell. Now he says, the next I remember, I was lying on my stomach up beside the pool, vomiting. The chap that drew me in was saying, but I was only fooling, someone said. The kid nearly died. Be all right now. Let's carry him to the locker's room. So when he gained consciousness, he was lying on his stomach and vomiting, and there was something, he was just kidding, but that kidding became a very serious thing, and of course the child should have died, but somehow he is safe. So they were carrying him to the locker's room. Several hours later I walked home. I was weak and trembling. I shook and cried when I lay on my bed. I couldn't eat that night. For days a haunting fear was in my heart. The slightest exertion upset me, making my wobbly in the knees and sick to my stomach. I never went back to the pool. I feared water. I avoided it whenever I could. So you can see the writer saying that he was totally afraid. So you can also experience, you can just imagine how much fear must have come to his mind. He was crying. He says he cried a lot, and he's saying it's a haunting fear. What do you mean by haunting? Haunting is something which is always in your mind. the thought, it does not go away from you. So we say it's a haunted house means you can feel. So he could feel the fear. He was always fearful. So he says, for days a haunting fear was in my haunt. He had that fear. And then his when he thinks of water, so his knees also wouldn't be stable. It used to wobble. And sick to my stomach means again some sort of vomiting sensation you have. You feel uneasy. All that happens when you are afraid, when you recollect the thoughts which had made put you into trouble. Okay, the next section we'll do it in the next class. Okay, children, now we will uh, meet on Saturday. 1 minute, let me. Mhm. Yes. Who is on video call? Pankaj? Sitting very comfortable? Lying down? Okay, children, I think it's time we will have an off, and if you are interested, you can read the next part of it, and you can read. Otherwise, no problem.